innovations, we got them wait. Took a little minute, was patient, but now we take it. Anytime we want this game, my situation is entertainment intertwined with information. Alchemist soul, how we move the tassel and roll. It's amazing how we can turn something brass to gold. And we steady making hits. Architect with the prop in the scripts. It's logical that the product will flip. My boy Chef did the lineup, I'm fresh in the bitch. Carnivorous podcast, the newest show on the list. DQ on the boat, so I'm rocking the ship. Swat the music gon' be dope and the artist legit. Hold my beard, concrete cord, then stepped in the door. See, that's my man and he reppin' for show. And true savior's a player with flavor. Lexicon Taylor, lines on point like a laser. We need that paper, we building the vault. Cause you niggas don't listen, y'all be waiting to talk. Lack accountability and try to make it our fault. But opposing us is trying to arm wrestle the hawk. You coming up short on your re-up, nigga we up. Really wouldn't want to be up. I kick my feet up, my beef is wagyu and my trunk is all speakers. Bills is all blue and my blunt is all reefer. With possible deniability, that boy eater. High quality whack juice by the liter. They like to call us ops, we got Oppenheimer features. That's the bomb out on the island just to teach you.
Got him.
When a nigga had a brand new Cadillac and a whole bunch of hoes in it, he was smooth as ice. Smooth as ice. He was smooth as silk, baby. He was good. Yeah. I said he put it up, put it down. He can't go down, he rise up. He moved from town to town, place to place, city to city. Nigga got around. Nigga got around. Oh yeah. I go to New York, I hear his name. Yeah. I go to Cleveland, I hear his name. Chicago, I put his name down. They know it.
Chill with the babbling, nigga known for the traveling. Like I can't dribble, I'm hitting hoes with the javelin. Put it in the middle, I'm steady roaming like Vatican. Syllabus and cannabis pimping, I'm now establishing. Wolf out the pack, I'm catching stallions straggling. Pussy dead stock, I'm ripping hoes out the packaging. Points that I'm averaging, think Kyrie is passing them the ball. Watch me ball on niggas, it's so spectacular. They ill advised. Stepping in no shit because I'm hella wise. Serving up this pimpin' like some curly fries. They gush chicken, gripping on some girly thighs. Fried like some pickles when I swing and glide. Having conversations, entertaining vibes. I peep her body language and she peep in mine. I ask if she hungry, she say what's her rhyme. I crack a smile and give her ass some curly fries. Said it's such a spectacular feeling. Real rap, no cap, I'll be macking these feelings. Shiesty down, condom on, I'm attacking that kid. Rent paid, stomach full, spectacular living. Ha, say my closet is hated by people. The box fur got them hotter than plated fajitas. Parallel when I park and they pay in the middle. My 2 cents that I give belong to museum.
The nigga had a brand new Cadillac and a whole bunch of hoes in it. He was smooth as ice. Smooth as ice. He was smooth as silk, baby. He was good. Yeah. I said he put it up, put it down. He can't go down, he rise up. He moved from town to town, place to place, city to city. Nigga got around. Nigga got around. I go to New York, I hear his name. Yeah. I go to Cleveland, I hear his name. Chicago, I put his name down. They know it.
They ill advised. Ain't stepping in no shit because I'm hella wise. Serving up this pimpin' like some curly fries. They gush chicken, gripping on some girly thighs. Fried like some pickles when I swing and glide. Having conversations, entertaining vibes. I peep her body language and she peep in mine. I ask if she hungry, she say what's her rhyme. I crack a smile and give her ass some curly fries.
Crazy, deranged.
Oh my God.
Playing maze, sipping water bottles and Gatorade. Conversation, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth and the table fade. Playing maze, sipping water bottles and Gatorade. Conversation, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth. As I'm rolling this blunt up, I sit and think about the come up. Hit your chick with that lumber, she somewhere deep in the slumber. I ain't Stevie, no wonder, I had her falling this summer. She talking tatting my name, I ain't even saving the number. Hey, pimpin' meticulous, when you pimp it's a hit or miss. Vernacular snapping, she breaking bridges to get a kiss. Look what done happened, her nosy friend and got in the mix. She know I'm a hitter too. talking to telepathy. Hitting them curves, my lines connect like the letter B. Waiting my turn, I swear my life is the letter V. Studied the masters, I learned the wisdom from A to Z. Books is still something I still instill in the women. If you can hold up a combo, then we can make us a killing. Close your eyes and just listen to these tricks when they tricking. When my chicks looking good, it's like them bricks when they flipping. Because I'm playing maze, it's the water bottles and Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of haters want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the table fade. Playing maze, it's the water bottles and Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of haters want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the table fade. Playing maze, it's the water bottles with Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the table fade. Playing maze, it's the water bottles with Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the table fade.
Yeah, what's up with y'all, man? Haskell sent me a message. He said he'll be back in a couple seconds. I'm not sure. He didn't really mention what he was going to go do. But we got a long-awaited presentation. He says he's been dying to clear up some of the misconceptions about the EDTA in the blood. And, of course, his usual Haskell fashion, he's got a lot of information to kind of back up his claims. So we're going to get a brother a chance to get a clear runway to get all his ideas and his thoughts out there, right? So before Chef try to mess it up, we're gonna at least get a man a chance to say everything that he's been trying to say in the Discord with nothing in his way, right? He gonna have a chance to say exactly what he's trying to say, make it as clear as possible. So anything where somebody would be disagreeing with, at least he had a chance to put it completely out there so we can at least understand what he's saying. So I'm happy to give him in the spotlight so he can, get a chance to get his ideas out super clear, because I want to know exactly what you're talking about. I've never seen none of these videos. All this is like a first-time reaction from me. Apparently Haskell's been in the background kind of like putting this together for a little minute now. So I'm kind of, I'm excited for him. I'm anticipating this to kind of shake up some of my ideas too, right? Because I can be honest and say I'm coming from the standpoint of, I believe OJ might have had something to do with it, right? But hopefully Haskell does a great job and knock me off of that square. That's what I'm looking. That's what I came for to happen, right? I want Haskell to actually give me the information for that not to be true, right? So that's what the day is all about. I'm gonna play another song. We're still waiting on Haskell. I don't want to start playing his videos and he's not here yet. So,
how much will you be needing? Oh, yeah, I'll come back in a week with a plan.
These tracks is by another owner of the Discord and the Tri-Media, DQ Hampton. Shout out to my brother, man. Clearly working super hard. He got all kind of tracks on here that I ain't heard yet.
I need profit and privacy.
That's like the flowers, man.
Tri-Media Records.
Yeah. DQ. Check. Look. This that motion, potion, when I flow this shit. Nigga just so legit. You damn boy if you sliding. How many hoes you get? Me? They be on my dick, smelling like the coldest sin. Looking good, that wood filled with the animal clover mix. When I pop that shit, it's the oldest trick. Literal coldest sin. Baby text me since you got a bone up pick. I'ma pull up on the bitch. Holy shit. Notice the golden bonus that's on this wrist. On the trip with no chips. Fish with a police beat. But back to the session at hand. There go that man, mama. Really can't stand drama. Get out my car and go back to your grandmama, cause you been misled, mama. Get your head right and come back and get red, baby. I know you see red, lady, but you see blue if you chew with them legs, baby. Driving these man crazy.
Dang, man, I ain't even want to turn that one off, man. What's up, Peter Bag Juice? Haskell, you in here?
Yeah, keep going, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
you rock,
eating
man.
something right quick. Keep rocking out. Keep letting DQ rock out.
Yeah, man. What you got over there, man? That sound like curry goat you chewing on.
What I'm saying, there go that man, mama. Really can't stand drama. Get out my car and go back to your grandmama, cause you been misled, mama. Get your head right and come back and get red, baby. I know you see red, lady, but you see blue if you true with them legs, baby. Driving these man crazy. Get it right, Hall of Fame. Play it tight, baby wanna cheat. Spend night, cop a feel. Nigga might keep that gas. Get it like, up pass. Get it right, country boy. Sit like, Grammy wishes. Kill 'em Mike, did my thing. Get it right, Hall of Fame. Play it tight, baby wanna cheat. Spend night, cop a feel. Nigga might keep that gas. Get it like, up pass. Get it right, country boy. Sit like, Grammy wishes. Kill 'em Mike, I'ma hit it with a different type of flow. Mastermind a different type of cadence. Hating perpetrators do the most. 3 table seat angry dog. Me and my brothers probably doing the toast. Go on and holler if you need to smoke. 3 tequila shots, we out the door. Keep a freak who seen who like to choke. People touch the street, I seen the flow. Sweet just so elite, peep the close. Each I got my seat just like the Pope. Jeez, I'm out the east, I wrote a book. Before I know that you ain't even know. Black Sun Media before. Try media, now you know. Yeah, you get it right, Hall of Fame. Play it tight, baby wanna cheat. Spend night, cop a feel. Nigga might keep that gas. Get it like, up pass. Get it right, country boy. Sit like, Grammy wish. Kill 'em Mike, did my thing. Get it right, Hall of Fame. Play it tight, baby wanna cheat. Spend night, cop a feel. Nigga might keep that gas. Get it like, up pass. Get it right, country boy. Sit like, Grammy wishes. Kill 'em Mike,
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, man, did you want to get a couple words in, or did you want to go straight to the videos?
Yeah, I could give a couple of words. So, yeah, everybody, welcome.
Let them know what this is all about, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so this is just installment 2 of me building the case for OJ not committing these murders, these crimes, because basically it was impossible, in my opinion, logistically, for him to have done the crimes. The first installment was about Mark Furman, and a lot of people like that show. It showed them some angles they never before considered. They got enlightened by some information that they had never heard before, and it gave them a different perspective of the evidence, the so-called evidence that Mark Furman found, namely the glove at Rockingham, right? So now with the second installment, we're going to be dealing with a chemical called EDTA. And basically EDTA is a chemical they put in blood to stop the blood from clot, from thickening up, right? So it's a way to preserve blood for like police and stuff to have evidence, right? Now, the reason why it matters for today is because the defense in OJ's case is basically making the case, or they made the case, that the blood, specifically the blood found on a sock found in OJ's bedroom and the blood on the back gate, I believe, yeah, that was at Bundy also, Nicole's residence, was planted more than likely by the LAPD or someone else. Now, if the blood was planted, it should have EDTA in it, because they would have had to have gotten the blood, in this case, from the sample blood that was collected from the 2 dead victims and the person who was supposed to have committed the crimes, which is OJ. So there's an FBI witness who went on a stand and basically claimed that the blood that was found did not have EDTA in it, and therefore it was not from preserved blood. Therefore, it was not planted. And I'm here today to show that that FBI agent was a pathological liar, and that blood absolutely had EDTA in it. And as a result of that, it was absolutely planted evidence.
Okay. So we got you on record right there. We being specific. We saying all of this to get to the point of this is planted evidence that should not be there.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let's get to it, man. I'm about to run video one. Let me load that.
All right. So do me a favor, Logic. When you run the videos, just read the little descriptions that I have. If it's like a super long description, you don't have to read the whole thing. It's just so that it could trigger my memory and I know what I'm looking at. So, yeah.
I got you. All right. So we starting off on video one. It says Martz was asked to do a pure qualitative analysis. Defense clearly expected no EDTA to be found as is normal with human blood. So that was the description you gave me.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and run that footage.
Share screen. Roger Martz. Man. Can you hear it?
Letter is to describe the item.
Yeah, I can hear it.
In order to detect the presence or absence of EDTA and blood stains, which are.
Now, were you ever requested by the prosecution by way of this letter to try and quantify the amount of EDTA should you find it?
I didn't interpret it that way.
Run it one more time. Logic.
And could you read just the first sentence?
This letter is to describe the items we are sending to you in order to detect the presence or absence of EDTA and specific blood stains, which are of significance in this case.
Now, were you ever requested by the prosecution by way of this letter to try and quantify the amount of EDTA should you find it?
I didn't interpret it that way.
All
right, perfect. So this establishes two things. Number one, the prosecution wrote a letter to Martz to test the blood on the back gate on the sock, not the defense. The reason why that's important is because in the media, they kept reporting that, oh, Martz was the defense's witness. Yes, the defense called him because the court pretty much required him or made him call him, but he was not the defense's witness, right? So that's one. Two, the testing that he was asked to do by the prosecution was purely qualitative. Is EDTA in these samples, in this blood, or not? At no point was he ever asked to try to quantify it, to try to determine, is this blood, is the amount of EDTA in this blood commensurate with blood in a test tube or unpreserved blood? None of that. It was just simply look at this. Is there EDTA there or not? Period. Okay. We can move on.
Okay. So we're gonna move into slide number 2. Matter of fact, what's the correct term? The court term we ought to be using here. This is the
exhibit.
Exhibit 2. Exactly right. It says set the parameters to occlude. Occlude EDTA identification. What that word even mean, Haskell? You know you be using them $10 words.
It's just to like make shit foggy.
I got you. All right, so we moving into that one. Let me share my screen.
Tell us whether your method does not effectively separate content.
It does. The way that I used it is not very effective in separating compounds. I can give you an analogy. If everyone in here was to run a marathon, people would finish at different times. Very few people would finish at 2 hours. Some people may take 6 hours. Well, with the type of chromatography that I used, it would be more like a 50-yard dash. We would all run a 50-yard dash. We would all finish at about the same time.
So, like, to give you the illustration, the difference between Jobava and the regular.
My bad. Let me get that off the screen. Y'all boys don't need to learn no chess tactics right now. We ain't on that. Okay, so.
All right. So did you catch what he said right there, Logic?
So to me, it sounded like he was explaining a question that I heard earlier in Discord with, like, how long should it take for this to kind of like flush out of somebody's system? Did I catch that right?
Kind of. So what it is a test that they call liquid chromatography, right? So it's basically where you could either use gas or, well, in this case, it's a liquid. And they have like this, how do you describe it? Like, imagine something made of like glass and you're forcing particles through it using liquid. And based on how long it takes for the particles to flush all the way through, it tells you, it makes it so that you can identify the liquid, or it gives you information that would serve to identify the liquid. So for instance, let's say you're 5'9", you're from Louisiana. Your last name is Smith. Your mom was born in Chattanooga, right? Those are 4 different pieces of information. This particular test would basically tell you, okay, this person is 5'9". So it just gives a piece of information about the chemical that you're looking for. Now, he just described that the way how he set the parameters on that test is basically like a 50-yard dash. So if you're running a 50-yard dash, right, everybody is pretty much going to finish around the same time. There isn't enough distance for there to be separation as it would be in, let's say, a marathon. That analogy makes sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So each runner represents a chemical, right? And if this one finishes at that time, it tells you that it's in the range of this chemical, right? Mm-hmm. This one finishes at this time, it tells you it's in the range of that chemical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, he could have set his machine to, instead of being a 50-yard run, to make it be a marathon. So that way you have more room, right? It would be more spaced out, and it would be more easier to get information to identify the chemical. But he purposely chose a 50-yard dash, so everything is bunched up together. So it's almost like it didn't even make no sense he even ran that test, because the whole thing he's supposed to be doing, Logic, is trying to determine if EDTA is in this sample or not. So why would you run a test that doesn't even run it in such a way, or set the parameters in such a way where you can't even distinguish one component from another, when you can easily set the parameters to a way where it could be more distinguishable? He chooses the more bunched up shit. Why? That's it. We could move to the next one.
Okay. Kind of coming together, right? That does sound a little confusing, right? If there was a way that he could have ran the test and just kind of like got straight to the business, right? Why would you run this other test that kind of leaves the results kind of blurry? You know, I got to ask you more questions about even the results of the test that you ran, right? So why would you even run that test? All right, we getting there. We getting somewhere. This don't sound as like this ain't quite as foggy with a little context to it. I definitely admit that.
Yes, sir. We gonna clear it up. Don't worry.
Make sure,
that you tried on February 22nd is where you tested for the first time under the method that we've been talking about, the sock and the gate stains. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the 19th I did a method of electrospray mass spectrometry.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That people have failed to mention so far.
Well, let's mention it. What method was that?
It was the same thing. It was electrospray mass spectrometry using LC.
But that was using what's called the negative ion mode. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, which is more selective than the positive ion mode.
Did you find that that was much less sensitive than the positive ion mode?
It was less sensitive.
About how many orders of magnitude?
It was approximately 10 times less sensitive.
So it was after you used that method that was 10 times less sensitive that you used the positive ion mode that we've been talking about. That's more sensitive, correct?
In this particular case, it ended up being more sensitive, yes.
You knew at the time that you did the negative ion mode, once you saw the results, that it was not a particularly sensitive test. Is that correct?
It certainly, I would agree with that. It was not that sensitive of a test.
So is it fair to say that you decided you needed to do something a little bit more sensitive?
No, that is not fair to say at all.
Okay. But you did.
I did, yes.
Right. So again,
I gotta run that one back again for myself.
For the first time under the method that we've been talking about, the sock and the gate stains. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the 19th I did a method of electrospray mass spectrometry.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That people have failed to mention so far.
Well, let's mention it. What method was that?
It was the same thing. It was electrospray mass spectrometry using LC.
But that was using what's called the negative ion mode. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, which is more selective than the positive ion mode.
Did you find that that was much less sensitive than the positive ion mode?
It was less sensitive.
About how many orders of magnitude?
It was approximately 10 times less sensitive.
So it was after you used that method that was 10 times less sensitive that you used the positive ion mode that we've been talking about. That's more sensitive, correct?
In this particular case, it ended up being more sensitive, yes.
You knew at the time that you did the negative ion mode, once you saw the results, that it was not a particularly sensitive test. Is that correct?
It certainly, I would agree with that. It was not that sensitive of a test.
So is it fair to say that you decided you needed to do something a little bit more sensitive?
No, that is not fair to say at all.
Okay. But you did.
I did, yes.
all right. So again, we have this guy doing another test, right? And it should be a link. I believe I put a link under this video, Logic, that explains why using a negative ion test to try to detect EDTA in blood is a bad idea. Is that link there or no?
You talking about in the stuff that you sent me?
Yeah.
Yes,
so right.
Why ion testing is poor method for detecting EDTA? Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, click that link. Hopefully it's still fresh. And read for me what it says.
All right, let me put it on the screen right quick. Okay, here's what it says. It says negative ion testing, such as negative mode, electrospray, ionization mass spectrometry for EDTA in blood suffers from severe matrix suppression, high chemical background noise, and lower relative sensitivity compared to positive ion mode, making it prone to false negatives at low concentrations. That don't sound good. If you anytime that you expose a test of false negatives, right, you basically just create a fail point. Right? You definitely don't want to be chasing behind false negatives, so you wouldn't use the test that should be more prone to false negatives.
Now read some of the other stuff underneath it. It gets into a little bit more detail of why it can't detect EDTA using that type of in that mode.
Blood is complex, biological matrix packed with proteins, lipids, and salts. In negative ionization mode, co-eluting endogenous blood components heavily suppressed the EDTA ion signal. At lower levels of EDTA, this suppression can reduce the analytical signal drastically, making the presence of the compound. Making the presence of the compound what? Chemical noise and interference. Negative mode ionization readily generates ions from many normal low molecular weight organic acids and background contaminants present in the biological fluids and solvents. This high baseline noise reduces the signal noise ratio, obscuring the characteristic peaks of EDTA.
All right, perfect.
The way I understand noise would definitely be like unnecessary information, basically, right?
Right.
So you definitely want to reduce all the noise in basically any sort of experiment, because that's good. That's basically going to give you stuff that's going to send you in the wrong direction. It means that whatever your test is, basically it isn't narrow enough or selective enough, even based off what Martz said. Martz said that he used the test that he thought was more selective, and then in his testimony he started saying something about that it wasn't quite sensitive enough, right? And the guy asked him, he says, so then after you did that, that's when you use a test that was actually a little bit more sensitive, right?
Right, which is the positive ion mode.
Right.
So because of how blood is, and it just suppresses the signal for EDTA when you do negative ion mode testing. So it's almost like another test. It's like kind of pointless to do it. But it's fine that he did it. But I just wanted to show that to the audience, that in the next couple coming clips, you're going to see that he leans on this test to say that EDTA was not found. So we can move on to the next one. And remember to read the title, Logic.
All right, I got you. So the next one, Exhibit 4, tested the largest sample of blood only in negative ion mode. Let's move on.
SWAT. Now, you were also sent another SWAT inside a little aliquot tube, were you not?
That's correct.
And is that what you call 2207?
Yes.
You never ran a test on that in the positive ion mode we've been talking about for 2207, did you?
I don't believe I did. I only ran that on the first day.
And Q207, so is it fair to say you made no estimate on Q207 as to how much blood might be on that?
By looking at it, it appeared that it was covered with blood, but how much, other than it was covered, I don't know.
Now, why didn't you test Q207, which was from the large stain in the positive ion mode?
What? Because I had tested it on the negative ion mode.
You remember when we talked in Washington about?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the warrant.
I think it was some more of that video left. Is that where it cut off?
To get the other people's content off the screen. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, say it again.
Yeah, was it some more of that video left, or that's where it cut off?
Oh, that was it. That was the whole thing. That's
that was it?
Yeah, that's why
okay.
I on to something else.
So this is where you first really start seeing how slimy this little saltine is, right? So we have already established that the negative ion mode is 10 times less sensitive than the positive ion mode. And it, in fact, suppresses the signal for EDTA, right? Now, you hear Blazer ask him, why didn't you test the larger stain, right? The stain that has more blood in the positive ion mode. And this little slimy dude's answer was, well, because I tested it in the negative ion mode. And you heard him stuttering and stammering, right?
It seems like that was actually a good question, and he should have. And it sounded like he knows that he should have ran both tests on the other one, but he chose the one basically that was less effective again, even though it was the one that was more prone to the noise.
Right. Well, he had done it. He had already done the negative ion on both pieces of evidence on the first day, right? So on the second day is when he does the positive ion. Now, he runs the positive ion test on the smaller sample. You get it? But he doesn't run it on the larger sample. You see the little 3-card Monty?
Okay, so help me out with that. So why was the smaller sample, did it come out of the larger sample, or like was this two different actual
I think it
different locations?
Yeah, I think it came from the same sample and they just cut it. They cut it like in two pieces or whatever. So the smaller sample was like a little strip, and then the other one was like the bigger stain or whatever. But the most important thing is he used the most or the least sensitive test, right, on the big stain, and used the most sensitive test on the little stain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's crazy is even though he did that, right? Even with using the smaller stain in the positive ion mode, the sensitive test, it still detected EDTA. It still detected it. So just imagine if he had sampled the larger sample. Why didn't you run the positive ion mode test for both samples? Why leave off the bigger sample? You're scamming.
Got him. We fucking got him.
It definitely, that's a good question. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely a good question as to like, why aren't you being as thorough as possible in every area of this case? You know what I'm saying? Every time that you get in the sample, why aren't you, you giving it the rigor that you know it needs for you to have like a conclusive answer for these kind of questions? Like your answer should never be, well, I don't know. I just did this over here and then did that over there. I ain't really had no rhyme or reason for doing either one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like it should definitely never should be that. You got them there. I ain't gonna lie. That's a terrible answer for somebody about to get the needle and you like, man, I don't know why I did that. That's kind of bad. All right, so we're gonna move on to Exhibit 5. Even with using the positive ion testing only for the smaller sample size, that's Q206. I'm guessing that's Exhibit Q206 in the courtroom. The results came back as being consistent with EDTA. All right, let me put that one in the chain.
The peaks demonstrated on the chart were peaks that you found in your testing.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, would you agree that you detected the presence of the 293 parent ion, which is the parent ion for EDTA?
I detected the 160 ion, which came from the parent ion of 293.
Well, isn't it true that the machine is set so that it only lets through the 293 parent ion?
That's correct.
So is it accurate to say that you can conclude from that chart that you have found both the 293 parent ion and the 160 daughter ion?
That's correct.
Now, Agent Martz, would you agree that the pattern that you got on the sock Q206 is consistent with the presence of EDTA?
It certainly warrants further testing. It responded like EDTA responded, yes.
Is it consistent with the presence of EDTA?
Yes.
You got that logic?
So if he is on record saying that it seemed like it deserved more testing, and he didn't do more testing, that definitely don't sound good. What's up with that?
Well, that's not the part I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the end where he says that the ions that he found were consistent with EDTA.
Yes.
You heard him say that.
I did hear that.
All right. Now, my opponent, who I've been going back and forth with in the Discord, he tells you that Martz says that EDTA was not in the sock or the gate evidence, right? So if he's saying that EDTA is not in these pieces of evidence, how does that square with what he just said? Doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
Because he just said, yeah, EDTA was consistent with EDTA. But here's the answer, Logic. The answer is word games. They're going to say, this is the argument that they're going to make. He's going to say, yes, what was found, the two ions, the parent ion and the daughter ion, is consistent with EDTA, but it could be other chemicals out there that have that same parent ion and daughter ion.
You haven't.
So yes, it's consistent with EDTA, but we don't know. There might be some other chemical out there that has the same makeup. That's the game they're going to play. But you've heard it here clearly where he says, yes, that Q206 evidence, which I believe is the SOC. Yeah, because the gate is 204. So he clearly says Q206, the SOC, absolutely the ions found was consistent with EDTA. You heard it out his own mouth.
It did have EDTA on it. I did hear him say that. All right. And to be clear, that is what item? What item is he talking about? Do you know?
It's a SOC because I believe the gate is Q204. So the SOC they cut into two. One part 206, and they labeled one part Q206 and the other part Q207. So he was talking about that smaller sample that I was mentioning earlier of the SOC, which is Q206.
Okay. All right, I'm moving to the next one. It says readers. I guess that guy's name readers. Readers.
Yeah, readers.
That EDTA was found on Q206, and that no other known compound shares the characteristics displayed in Martz's charts. I'm trying to see what I can do to turn this up for you, Corey. But I think that's as much sound as I don't have no option.
As to whether, based on those chromatograms from the FBI, whether the presence of EDTA has been demonstrated on the blood stain from the SOC, Q206.
Just on the basis of the 160 or the entire picture?
The entire picture.
On the basis of the entire picture, this has been, at these concentrations, presented as strongly as it can with present technology.
As what?
As EDTA.
Now, EDTA is what's called an organic compound, correct?
Yes, it has carbon in it, therefore it's organic.
And anything that has carbon in it is called an organic compound?
Yes.
And do we know how many there are in the universe?
No, well, no, we don't know how many organic compounds there are in the universe. Obviously not, because we are discovering new ones. We're making new ones, but we're also discovering new ones every day.
Is it possible that there might be some other substance in the universe that gave the same pattern as we see here as EDTA?
Well, of course, there might be anything in the universe. We don't know all the things that are in the universe, so of course there could be.
Do you know of any specific compound other than EDTA that has the 293 parent ion, the 160 daughter ion, the appropriate retention time, and the other characteristics that you described about solubility other than EDTA?
As far as retention time is concerned, I have not seen any chromatography the first time that it was done under these conditions, so I can't relate it. There's no internal standard, so I can't assign a relative amount to it. But as far as the parent ion, the estimated retention time means under the conditions that they use a short retention substance, relatively short retention substance. A parent ion of 293 and a daughter ion of 160. I don't know of any such substance, and I have not been able to find any in the search of the Merck index of substances.
The headline absolutely is Wisconsin.
Well, I need to take. How do I take that though? I got auto on my thing. I take that off. Okay. I mean that was a lot. The dude kind of said a mouth. Man, to break on down.
Yeah. So this is the defense witness, right? And the reason why I played this right behind Martz is to say that he confirmed what Martz said, right? The ions that are consistent with EDTA were absolutely found in Q206. So he agrees with Martz there. And then he further goes on to point out the fact that what Martz and them are going to try to do, Logic, is play the game that, oh, there could be some other chemical out there that has that makeup. No, in blood, under these testing conditions, that has those ions, okay, to this day, there's no such chemical compound that anyone knows of, right? So they're playing a ridiculous game. Now, Readers was being very honest. There's almost an infinite number of compounds in the universe. So what do they always say in science, Logic? That nothing is 100% in science, right?
Right.
Right. So that's all he's saying. So what the game that Martz them are going to play is this idea that you can't 100% say that it is EDTA. However, there's no compound that is known to man under those testing conditions in blood with that estimated retention time. The retention time is the whole 50-yard dash versus the marathon thing that we was talking about, right? Combined with the molecular weight, which is the ion, right? When they say the 293 ion, that's the molecular weight, and the daughter ion of 160, no other known compound. So in short, the EDTA was found on that sock. Martz said it, and now Readers is saying it.
All right. You want to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me read what it says. So yeah, next exhibit number 7 of the smaller sample that Martz did, to be clear, he only used half of the sample for positive ion testing. So this is an admission to him slacking off again, right?
Yeah, more Keystone Caper shit.
Mark's sleeping on the job, man. He don't give a damn. All right, let me put it up there.
On day 1, the Q206.
That's correct.
So you used half as much sample when you used the more sensitive test?
Well, in every case,
Yeah, strike non-responsive. Sustain. You used half as much with the more sensitive test.
Hey, pause it, Logic. Yeah, you see what the pussy cracker tried to do? Did you peep that?
Now break it down. Somebody that walked through the door, they were saying something. What'd you say?
Did you see the first part of the video?
Nah, I got distracted.
All right, run it back from the beginning.
I used.
You said that you used twice as much on day 1 of the Q206, Q207 mixture than you used the next day?
That's correct.
So you used half as much sample when you used the more sensitive test?
Well, in every case that I did this.
Yeah, move to strike is non-responsive. Sustain. You used half as much
Pause.
the more sensitive test.
So you see, ask this little slimy ass cracker a very simple question. Did you use half of the sample that you use on the less sensitive tests as you did on the more sensitive tests? Very simple question. The answer is yes. I use half of the sample on the more sensitive tests. What this little slime ball try to do? Try to turn to the jury. Well, you see, what had happened was, and a nigga shut that shit down. Shut it down. Stop trying to manipulate, nigga. Lying ass. Go ahead, run it, Logic.
I used half as much of the 206 versus 207 on the 22nd as I did on the 19th.
Would you agree that if there had been EDTA and your mixture of Q206 and Q207, there'd be 1/2 as much in the test that you ran the next day, the more sensitive test.
Not necessarily. I mean, as we've mentioned, the quantitation is not perfect on that instrument, and I did not design this technique to precisely quantitate how much EDTA was present, or if it wasn't present. I was trying to determine whether it was there or not from preserved blood. So twice as much would not make that much of a difference in the results that I got.
Did you run any experiments with different amounts? Well, let me rephrase that. Would you agree that in order to make any kind of an assessment of concentration of how much you get at the end of the process, you have to know how much you start with?
Sure, yes.
Now, the evidence...
Pause. 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 Pause.
That was the end of it. There was no pause. That was the end of it.
Oh, okay, but that last part is what we done spent the last 2 days arguing about. You caught that, right?
Some kind of way it didn't like register. Damn, this was the whole thing.
Okay, play the last 10 seconds again.
Blood. So twice as much would not make that much of a difference in the results that I got.
Did you run any experiments with different amounts? Well, let me rephrase that. Would you agree that in order to make any kind of an assessment of concentration of how much you get at the end of the process, you have to know how much you start with?
Okay.
Sure, yes.
Now, the evidence...
Okay. So
okay.
He's admitting that you do got to know how much you start with before you can even move forward with the experiment.
Well, you would need to know how much you're starting with in order to determine concentration.
Right.
All right. Now, I spent 2 days arguing with some goofball barber from Baltimore, right, who swears that I make shit up and I don't understand and I think I'm smart, but I'm not that smart, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he's leaning on Martz. He defers to Martz's expertise. And you just heard it out of Martz's mouth. If in order to determine concentration, you have to know the quantity that you are starting with. So if a nigga keep arguing with me about that point after this, a nigga just want to argue and bull jive. All right. Anyway,
I'm gonna definitely give you. I gotta strike that on the record, right? So if somebody act like you don't need to know how much liquid you have in order to determine concentration before they playing. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that. I think we could all collectively understand that that's not complicated enough to where we need to be a biologist or a laboratory expert. You need to know the quantity of liquid in order to know the concentration. I'm good. I'm solid.
Beautiful. All right, read for me the title that was on that video again, because I want to make some commentary on the whole video.
All right, that one was called. I think you typoed somewhere up here, but it says of the smaller sample that Martz did, he only sample for the positive ion.
Right. Okay, perfect. So remember when I said that he chose to use the smaller sample when he did his analysis using the positive ion mode, which is the more sensitive. Not only did he use the smaller sample, he further cut it in two.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like putting a cut on a cut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Like for all the street dudes, when nigga cut coke, right? But then a nigga cut it again.
Mm-hmm.
He putting a cut on a cut. Right? All the little slime ball is trying to do, Logic, is he's trying to dampen the signal for the EDTA as much as he can. That's all the little fuck ass cracker trying to do. But we can move on.
All right, it says, let's see what the next one here says. So the next one says Exhibit 8 is Martz changes his testimony, and he says he found no signal for EDTA. After all this, Martz, how you gonna say you ain't got no signal for EDTA? Is this chronologically correct? Because if he come on the back end of all of them experiments and say he ain't find no EDTA, he definitely
Yes, it's chronologically correct. Matter of fact, let me give you how it went down in the courtroom. Those first videos that you see is the defense lawyers doing cross-examination, right? Now, they took a break after they finished cross-examination, and after that break, the prosecution then comes on and does what's called redirect, right? So they had advised him, and he admitted to this on the stand. I don't know if I made a clip of that, but he admitted that he was told by Marsha Clark, hey, we need you to be a little bit more aggressive and forceful going forward. Because you see, when Blazer asked him, was this thing consistent with EDTA? He says yes, right?
Yes.
So it's looking bad. So they gave him a pep talk, like, hey, nigga, you fucking this up. Like, you know, get on point. So this is where he really starts his bullshit.
Okay. This is where the stumbling and bumbling start. All right.
Based on the methods that you were using, it was your determination. You had to make the determination as to whether or not the blood in the evidence came from a test tube with EDTA or not, correct?
That's correct.
And in that regard, the method you used, was it effective and efficient for that determination, even though it did not permit precise quantification?
Yes, it was. I mean, in all the charts that I prepared and all the tests, I could clearly distinguish between preserved and non-preserved blood. On 2 of the days, the testing in the negative ion mode, which required EDTA to complex with iron, I got no signal whatsoever for EDTA. And again, on the 28th, when I performed liquid chromatography by itself, which EDTA had to bind with a copper compound, I received no signal for the EDTA. It was very easy to distinguish between the preserved and the non-preserved blood.
So he said he didn't see none, and it should have been easy because it's easy to preserve.
Yeah, no, well, now he's switching to the whole preserved versus non-preserved, right? Mm-hmm. So of course the blood that's preserved with EDTA, it's supposed to have about 2,000 parts per million, right? Unpreserved blood is supposed to have, really unpreserved blood ain't supposed to have no EDTA at all, really and truly. But he's playing this game. Now remember, Logic, the very first video we played in this was the letter that the prosecution wrote to this piece of garbage. And what they asked them to do was determine if EDTA is in these samples or not. They never asked them to determine or distinguish between non-preserved and unpreserved blood. That's a pivot that they're making because they done fucked up when he admitted on the stand that yes, the signals were consistent with EDTA. What he's saying right now is in complete contradiction to what he said 2 videos before, where he said, yes, I found signals that were consistent with EDTA. He's playing word games now.
Okay. This next one, you got a lot of notes on this one. It says, Martz claims ion counts on the evidence blood could not be from EDTA preserved blood because it was at least 1,000 times less than the ion count in known preserved blood. Only problem is this is factually incorrect.
You can stop right there. Mm-hmm. You can stop right there. Okay, so this is where they start the flim flam, right? So now you've heard him admit twice that he never did any sort of measuring or testing or analysis to judge quantity. You heard him say that. Mm-hmm. All right. But what he's saying is, when he compared the raw total ion counts from the sample blood that he knows to be sample blood and the evidence blood, that the sample blood had 1,000 times more ions than the evidence blood. So what he's saying is that based on that, he's saying unpreserved blood, preserved blood supposed to have at least like 1,000 to 2,000 parts per million. But this blood, the evidence blood, the ions are 1,000 times less. So that's how I know it's not preserved blood.
Yeah.
But
is he counting ions if he ain't did no quantitative research on it?
well, you could count the raw ions, right? But insofar as trying to judge concentration, you need quantity, but you don't need it to count raw ions. Going back to what we were talking about in the Discord earlier, if I take some water from the pool, or let me use this analogy better. If I take a cup of coffee and I put a tablespoon of sugar in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I take a shot glass and I take some of that coffee out, right? And I count the amount of sugar particles that's in the coffee cup versus the shot cup, right? I can do that. Right now, the total amount of particles in that bigger cup is going to be more than the shot glass. You following me so far?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? However, if I don't quantify the amount that's in that cup versus the amount of sugar, I can't determine concentration. If I don't count the amount of liquid that's in that shot glass compared to the sugar, I can't determine concentration. But I can do a raw total count of the amount of sugar particles. I can count the sugar particles in the big cup and say, okay, that has 100,000 particles, and I can count the amount of particles in the shot glass and say that has 1,000 particles. None of that tells me anything about concentration, though. You get it?
All right. Let me go ahead and play the next.
Would there be on the ultimate result in terms of the relative degrees or relative amounts of EDTA, would there be on any discrepancy in the amount of EDTA extracted from the evidence stain versus the reference sample?
In my opinion, it would have no effect whatsoever. We're dealing with chemicals that are placed in blood at 2,000 parts per million. That is a very, very, very large quantity of any substance in the blood. It's very easy to distinguish 2,000 parts per million from what could possibly be 1 part per million. And if you notice, I said possibly. I'm not even convinced that what was found in my blood and in the sock and in the gate was EDTA. I was not able to prove that. If it is, it's still in the parts per million at the most. And distinguish between parts per million, 1 or 2 parts per million, and 2,000 parts per million in chemistry with analytical instruments is very easy to do.
So, sir, then are you saying that the dramatic difference in the results more than compensates for any small degree of variation?
That is correct.
Now, you indicated earlier that you were not trying to quantitate. In other words, you weren't trying to tell us, well, I have precisely these many parts per million of EDTA in the evidence stains and these many parts per million in the reference.
Hey, pause, Logic.
That's correct.
Okay, do you catch the double speak? She's saying that you never did any analysis to quantify or determine parts per million or none of that, right? But he's telling you that you can easily distinguish between non-preserved and preserved blood based on the parts per million. Did you hear him say that before, just earlier?
I did.
Right. So if you never did the analysis to determine how many parts per million of anything, then what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, how did you come up with that if you ain't never did the quantitative research?
You're running, you're scamming. Go ahead, let it run.
Whole reason for doing this was to differentiate preserved blood from non-preserved blood.
And for that purpose, sir, is it necessary to quantify with the precision that you were being asked about before, that is to perform tests specifically for quantification?
No, it is not.
Why not?
Because the instrument was mentioned earlier, had a fourfold difference in the 50 parts per billion standard. Between 1 part per million and 1,000 parts per million, we have 1,000-fold difference. So these are very, very, very different numbers. It's very easy to differentiate between what possibly could be 1 or 2 parts per million from what is between 1,000 and 2,000 parts per million.
And so it becomes very obvious without the need for precise quantification.
What?
Bruh, this motherfucker made me so sick, bruh. Like, you don't even know. I hate saltines. People like him, not just saltines. But I find that saltines, they are like the most flagrant abusers of this type, right? Where they flood the zone with information and bullshit. And because they know that most people don't got the time or the inclination to really get a grasp of shit like this, they get shit. Oh, I hate motherfuckers like him. Like, I want to strangle this nigga, man. Like, if I could get my hands on him, because motherfuckers like him swear they so slick. And then don't sleep that Marsha Clark and they know the game they're playing too. They know the game. These people sicken me, bruh.
We didn't reach our first 1 hour mark. Let me get a commercial in, do my due diligence, and we're gonna get right back to it.
Gotta hit it like tap it in the zone. Share it with the world, make the vibe known. Subscribe to the beat, feel it in your phone. Catch the waves we throw, you ain't alone. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep the rhythm alive, we thrive. Hop on this digital ride. Let's multiply the vibe worldwide.
No, we gotta have some of the best original music on YouTube, dog. We definitely do. Shout out to DQ again, man. Shout out to him again. But Haskell, I feel what you're saying, bro. Like,
Who
man,
did that beat right there? Who did that beat? Who did that beat right there, Logic? Who beat that is?
It didn't produced all of that right there, but I mean, the fact that it's musical has got to have something to do with DQ. If not, we have some sort of like license.
Yeah. That sound like a 95 RZA beat.
Yeah. That was throwback, but still modern at the same time. That was definitely serious. But I mean, you're right though, bro. Like, he shouldn't even be allowed to make mentions of those parts per million conversations once he actually did do the testing and don't got the results for the quantitative test. And some about that, I don't necessarily sure exactly what, but some about that definitely don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? You can't be sitting up here learning about how easy it is for you to determine about the part, the 1,000 or 2,000 parts per billion and all that kind of thing. The quantitative test that actually verifies any one of those. Like, that don't make no kind of sense.
He's trying to say that the discrepancy in the ion count was 1,000-fold, but you'll see in later video, and he's basically saying you can extrapolate from that, right? You can extrapolate from that it is 1,000 times less EDTA. He's doing extrapolation, but as you will see in videos to come, that isn't even true. It was nowhere near 1,000 times difference in the ion count. That's a lie.
This nigga Mark just be lying. All right. Let me I'm loading up the next one right quick. So this is what you got on the next one. It says Blazer gets Martz to admit that there was nowhere near 1,000-fold difference in ion count between evidence and sample blood. Not barber blood, but sample blood.
On the 28th, you tested the gate, the evidence, the blood stain evidence from the gate, did you not?
Yes.
And this is the same positive control. This is your can experiment, correct?
Yes.
And you did those very close together, didn't you? In time.
Yes.
And your ion count for the can was about 3 million?
That's correct.
And what was your ion count for the evidence?
Approximately 200,000. Was it 220,000? 221,000? Yes.
Now, you didn't make a chart that showed those experiments on the 28th for the prosecution, did you?
I don't believe I did, no.
That doesn't look like 1,000-fold difference, does it?
No.
Now, Agent Martz, would you agree that all of these charts made
Pause it.
have as their basis?
Hey, this dude is a clown, bruh. Straight clown. You heard him, Logic, say that. Okay, even though I didn't do quantitative testing, I never quantified anything, right? So I can't say if this is parts per million or none of that. However, he was trying to use the ion counts and say that there was 1,000-fold or 1,000 times difference in the ion counts to extrapolate and say that there was 1,000 times less EDTA. But as you just heard, there's 3 million ions in what we know to be preserved blood, right? The sample blood, and 220,000 ions in the backgate and the sock blood, right? Now, Logic, I don't think you're a human calculator, right? But 220,000 don't go into 3 million nowhere near 1,000 times, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So I did the math on it, and it's actually 13.6 times. Nowhere near 1,000. So that dude is a liar. Keep letting it roll.
An underlying assumption that you're using the same amount of blood from the evidence as you are using in the control.
Well, I tried to approximate it, but you got to remember here that I'm taking blood off of a surface, and I don't specifically remembered how much I took off.
Wouldn't it be very misleading to put two figures on a chart when they're based on different starting amounts?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when I cut a stain, it's very easy. You can see it. But when I took a stain off of a can, I removed it with a cotton swatch.
Move to strike, non-responsive.
Answer stricken.
Wouldn't it be very misleading to put together a chart when you have different starting amounts for the components of that chart?
I don't believe so.
He don't believe.
This nigga crazy, dog. Crazy, like he ain't got.
That you're using the same amount of blood from the evidence as you are using in the control.
Well, I tried to approximate it, but you got to remember here that I'm taking blood off of a surface, and I don't specifically remembered how much I took off.
Wouldn't it be very misleading to put two figures on a chart when they're based on different starting amounts?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when I cut a stain, it's very easy. You can see it. But when I took a stain off of a can, I removed it with a cotton swatch.
Move to strike, non-responsive.
Answer stricken.
Wouldn't it be very misleading to put together a chart when you have different starting amounts for the components of that chart?
I don't believe so.
Bruh.
So that was the second time trying to dodge a question that he clearly know the answer to, but he trying to act like he don't know the answer. He kind of playing stupid right there a little bit. That was a little playing stupid. It was.
Hey, Logic, you from New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know slick niggas, dog. You know how they talk. You know the word salad, right? You notice when Buddy asked him the question the first time, what he try to do?
He tried to
Turn
get
to the
out of
audience,
it.
huh?
Yeah, he tried to get out of that. He
Yeah,
tried
he
to
tried to.
explain some shit, but he didn't really get an answer.
Well, see, what you have to understand is, nigga, word salad, and then he straight up lied and said, "Oh nah, it's not disingenuous to put raw numbers of sugar particles from a coffee amount comparing two amounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not tell you how much coffee you started off with. You just put in sugar particles. So I got 10 particles over here and 100 over here. So because it's 10 times more, then that means that. But you're not telling me that you had a whole gallon. For the one with 100 was a whole gallon of coffee, and the one with 10 was a little shot glass. He's saying that that's not disingenuous to do that. Crazy work.
All right, shit. Okay. So we up to number 11. Number 11 says FBI analysis was not quantitative, therefore concentration of EDTA was never determined. So they actually didn't know the concentration. That's another claim that you bring out.
Yeah, no, we covered this already. It's basically going over it again. He never did any measures or any analysis to determine concentration. He never quantified anything. So Tony Lightwork, if you out there listening, you was arguing with me that, oh, he's an FBI agent, he's an expert, so he had to have done quantification. And you too, Stoopies, you made assumptions. And when I told you that he didn't do it, you said that didn't make sense. Well, you heard it out his mouth multiple times. He did not do any sort of quantification to determine concentration whatsoever. He didn't do it. Go ahead, Logic.
Question of whether the FBI's methods were capable of reliably determining the amount of EDTA that the test detected to any degree of analytical certainty or accuracy.
The amount, no, I really don't think that it is capable of doing a reasonably acceptable quantitative analysis job at all, which is inherent not in what the FBI did, but in the electrospray method.
Were you asked to determine whether the FBI methods were capable of reliably determining concentrations of EDTA in the evidence samples?
No way. And not only because of what I said before, but in order to do concentrations, you'd really have to know how much sample was in that swatch that you analyzed, how much got wiped off there, how much blood was in there that you have. And there's no way that you can really tell that from the tests that were done.
Now, again, by concentrations, we're talking about parts per million
or parts per billion or whatever, yeah.
Was the FBI's testing methodology capable of determining parts per billion, in your opinion?
Well, no, it was not. Not at all.
Yeah, Logic. So he just reaffirming what we already covered. And you heard Martz say it out his own mouth. He never quantified anything. So therefore, he can't determine concentration. And here you have the defense witness saying the same thing. So that was real easy. We could move on. You there, Logic? I think you muted.
Does this appear to be an accurate depiction of both the chromatograms 4049, 4084, two tests on the back gate stain on 2 different days?
Yes.
Next slide, please. Doctor, do the peaks shown on those 2 chromatograms have a retention time consistent with the presence of EDTA?
Yes, they do. They have the same retention time range. They have a retention time well within the range shown by EDTA.
And do they also demonstrate the presence of both the 293 parent ion and the 160 daughter ion?
Yes, because without the 293, you can't get the 160 in the MS mode.
Do you have an opinion on whether, based on those chromatograms, there is EDTA present in the stain from the back gate?
In my opinion, yes, it demonstrates that there is EDTA present in that stain.
Yeah, that one's very simple.
Yeah, he just confirming that he found an ETA.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Yeah,
13.
so yeah, go ahead.
13, Martz says he can eyeball. He didn't say that, did he? Martz says he can eyeball quantities of blood. Okay, I know he didn't say that dumbass shit. Okay, maybe he can. Let's see what he say. He might be a different type of motherfucker, man. I don't know.
Your basis for estimating the quantity of blood in the evidence that you started with was looking at it, correct?
Yes.
You did no analytical method whatsoever to try and quantify the amount of blood that you started with in the evidence.
I believe I answered this question yesterday, and I'll give the same answer. I looked at the stain. It was consistent with blood undiluted. I cut out the stain, and then I extracted with water. I looked at the water extract. They had similar colors, and I also did a presumptive test, phenolphthalein, which gave similar responses.
You didn't use any analytical tests that are designed to determine quantity other than looking at it, did you?
I believe I just answered that question.
Okay. Now, you made an estimate of, now incidentally, have you ever tested your ability to measure quantities of blood by looking at it?
I think I did in this particular case. I mean, if you look at my controls that I ran on the samples, I got fairly similar results.
Have you ever done a blind study where you don't know how much blood is there and you're tested on your ability to recognize and quantify blood by just looking at it?
No.
Yeah, that was a crazy statement to make in court. Eyeball quantity. That's nuts. He wild for that.
He's a wild dude. And this the nigga that Chef, and Chef's still in the comments right now trying to fight this stupid shit. Like, Chef, this is the nigga you defending. This is the dude who you claiming is an expert and he was right and all this shit, and the defense witness is stupid and all of this shit. And this motherfucker got the nerve to sit on the stand and say that he can look at a stain and tell how much blood is in it. I don't even got to go no more, bro. We can move to the next one.
That's a pretty wild. Okay, it says Dr. Readers describes how Roger Martz manipulated the mass spectrometer to obscure EDTA signals.
That means that the eye of the mass spectrometer, the way that it is counting is that it'll count anything that comes past it that has a 158 or a 159 or a 160 or a 161 or a 162 M over Z. If it's a high resolution instrument, then it would start counting 151, 8.1, 158.2, etc. But ordinarily it just counts these unit masses, so that anything in that range is seen by it. And this way you can actually get peaks in various places. In some places, in some retention times, there may be some things that have a moderate amount of more of 159, in others 160, but that is all within the mass range in which the daughter ion sits right in the middle.
Now, if you set the machinery to just look at the 160 rather than a range from 158 to 162, are you likely to have a higher peak?
Yeah, because it can, I told you, it depends, the number that it gets will depend on how rapidly it's checking off. You know, I see one, I see one, I see one. If it's slow, then it's got 2 or 3 that it sees at the same time, and you get a lower number of counts. If you focus just on the 160, then that same counts per minute is counting just 60s. Right now, it's counting anything between 158 and 162. And so if they're stuck together, it just becomes one count rather than separate counts.
Is it the same kind of thing that you might have if I was taking a picture of you with a video camera? If I was scanning it from the judge over to the bailiff, back and forth like this, you're going to be on the screen less time than if I just put it right on you.
Right. And so if you needed to sum all those pictures that were taken of me, you'd have fewer pictures if it's scanned than if it just sat right on me during that time.
And if you do an even broader scan, the peak would be equivalently less. Is that correct?
Less and less, yes.
And you might not even see it at some point.
Yes.
All right, Logic. So that one, it starts to get a little technical here, right? But I think the easiest way to understand it is with the analogy that the defense lawyer used, where the machine basically has an eye, right? And you've programmed the machine to basically look for a certain molecular weight. And that molecular weight is the molecular weight that's consistent with EDTA, right? So every time something with that weight passes by the eye of the machine, it records it and counts it, and then it spits it out into graph form, right? Now, if you're looking for a specific ion and you just put in that one ion, right, and the eye is just looking for that alone, obviously it's gonna count more of it than if you're looking for a range where it's scanning, because it's gonna miss in the time that it's scanning over here for these other ones. It's gonna miss some of the 160s or whatever while it's scanning, as opposed to if it just sat there on the 160. Are you able to follow that? It conceptually doesn't make sense to you.
That particular video was way too technical. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I don't even know if I really understood what he was saying.
All right, so let me try it this way, right? Let's say somebody robbed a house down the street, right? They know for sure that the person who robbed it weighed was either you. Let me see. How could I think of this? Damn, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, bro. Okay, let's say it's 5 of us, right? That they're pretty sure it's one of the 5 of us that did the crime, right? Or they know the person who did the crime weighs 193 pounds, right? Exactly 193 pounds, right? Damn, that ain't no good analogy either. I'm trying to think of something on the fly. So, all right, did you understand the analogy when he was talking about the camera? If you're looking for something, right? or you're trying to count something, if you put the camera on that thing versus scanning the camera back and forth, right? Scanning the camera back and forth is going to result in that thing having less camera time than if you just focus the camera on that thing. That makes sense? All right. Perfect. So what Martz...
I myself, I probably got about another 20, 30 minutes left, man. Let's try to get through as many more.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's move to the next one, because that's a little technical. So let's move on.
I believe we're on number 20. Blazer exposes Martz full daughter spectrum scam. So now they scamming. I got you.
I think you mentioned something earlier called a quadrupole.
Well, it's a triple stage quadrupole. I have 3 quadrupoles. Yes, that's something. It's a mass filter. It's used to separate out the different masses.
Okay, and the quadrupole, is it like 4 rods, kind of like it would be like 4 pencils through which the material is passed?
Well, the ions are passed, yes.
And then you determine by changing the voltage of those poles what can pass through and what can't.
That's correct.
So you decide, okay, I'm going to let through all 293s in this case, right?
That's correct.
And so only the 293s are going to make it through.
That's correct.
Okay, then it's going to pass through another set of 4 poles.
Right.
And with that second set of 4 poles, does that do anything?
Well, that's where the collision takes place. That's where you break down that ion and produce the daughter ions, the 132 and the 160 ion.
So is that like a reaction chamber?
It's a collision chamber, yes.
And then is there a third set of 4 poles that broken down ion goes to?
That's correct.
Now this third set will let through what?
It'll let through what I select. In one case, I let just the 160 ion go through. In another case, I let from mass 130 up through 295 go through so I could get the full daughter spectrum.
So in that way, you run the material through your machine and adjust the voltage so that you can pass through and select out 293, 160, and 132.
Well, you can do it that way. What I've elected to do is allow the 293 to go through and then just look at the 160, or let the 293 go through and then look at the full daughter mass spectrum from mass 130 to 295.
Now, was that an efficient way to look for the 132?
Well, it's not the most efficient way, but it's the only way that I would look for it in order to identify EDTA. I mean, I could look for 132 by itself, but my purpose is to identify EDTA.
Do you recall counsel asking you the questions about selective response?
Selective ion monitoring, yes.
Yes. And in that procedure, you're going to focus only on the 132, correct?
That's correct.
Why was that not appropriate to do in this case?
Well, it would just be another screening test. It would not positively confirm EDTA. What I need for the confirmation is the 3 ions I mentioned in a particular ratio. And the only way I can do that is to get the full daughter. If I look for them individually, it is not proof that the other compounds or ions are not there. In other words, if I have a camera and I look for one person, another person, it doesn't prove that there aren't people between those people. So I need to look at the full spectrum to see if it's EDTA. If there's something there in the middle that doesn't belong, it's not EDTA. So I need to look at the full spectrum to determine whether or not it's EDTA.
So if you're looking only for 132s, you could be missing 160s.
You could be missing a lot of ions. There could be other ions there. There could be a 150, a 170. You don't know unless you look.
So if you look for only 132s, you could be missing other ions that would prove to you it was not EDTA.
That's correct.
I gotta admit, the fact that he want to do all this explaining rather than just showing charts and data of what he came up with, that's kind of bothering me. You know what I'm saying? Because this really ain't nothing about it for you to expect 30 minutes. Like, that's not even trying to explain all the different technical things from some that's like completely foreign to most people. It's almost not even realistic. We gonna get it within 30 minutes of you explaining. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, this part of the video where it gets kind of technical, so I'm just gonna try my best to explain how how I understand it. So there's particular characteristics of EDTA, right? That helps you to identify it. In this case, they're using the ions of EDTA, right? So they have what's called a parent ion, and it weighs 293 in molecular weight, right? Then you have two daughter ions that weigh 160 and 132, right? Now, if you're able to identify each of those ions, right, it tells you, it basically makes it conclusive that that is absolutely EDTA. All right. Now, what Martz did, instead of looking for each ion separately, right, seeing how much of this ion is there, how much of this one is there, how much of this one is there, he did it in the case of looking for the parent ion, and he did it in the case of looking for the 160. But when it came on to the 132, is what he did was he had the machine look for everything between 158 all the way up to 295. So basically, if the 132 was there, you're not even gonna see that shit. So what did you hear when he said, "Oh, you might miss a 150 or a 170"? That's not an EDTA. Do you remember him saying that part?
Oh, right now, but don't do it to me, bro. I'm trying to decipher why in the hell is he trying to explain this to everyday working people, where he should just have the data to show, and then another expert come in either confirm or just say, "Nah, you wrong, you messed up." But him trying to explain his process, what he's looking for, and how many ions, and that, like, man, you shouldn't even no jury to that if you don't know the answer from him. Like, some kind of way they need to, he ain't up there we up there acting like them people are also biology or test, you know what I'm saying, expert. They ain't supposed to understand. But my bad.
Nah. You good. I mean, here's the thing. You know, when an expert says that this chemical or that chemical is not there, the whole argument is EDTA in this blood, right? And unfortunately, there's no way to determine that without getting into some technical stuff. Like, it's impossible. So I guess for purposes of determining if OJ did it or not or whatever, I guess for a lot of people, maybe they'd probably tune this stuff out. Like, it's too convoluted for them, and it doesn't impact their decision one way or the other. But yeah, hopefully the people watching this video who can understand it, they can understand, or they could do further research to kind of get what's being communicated here. But we can move on.
All right.
Detected and identified.
Should it?
When you detect something, that means that it may be consistent with a compound, but isn't necessarily that particular compound that you're trying to look for.
Not necessarily. Detection can be so strong that it is at the same time a positive identification. Ordinarily, in the forensic toxicologic sequence of analysis, where what we call in forensic toxicology an forensically acceptable quantum of proof, you do two physicochemically independent tests. The first one, preferably, is one that is particularly sensitive, even at the sacrifice of specificity. And you call that a detection test. And then you do a second independent one, which is a corroboration or negation test. And so between the two, you have an identification as a basic requirement.
All right. See, I can understand this guy's role right here, because all he's doing is either saying Martz messed up or no, he didn't mess up. That's simple enough to be like, at least understand where he's trying to come from. He's trying to be he's not being a little technical. He can properly answer the question. But as far as like how relevant saying is to understanding, like, I would have have to understand the process. You agree with that?
Yeah, what you said?
No, I was saying, I understand that this guy right here, Dr. Readers, he works for OJ. But in order to understand what he's saying, you'd have to go through the process to be able to keep up, right? So like there's nothing obvious about that you would need these different test results. So
Yeah, I don't know if it's just my thing, Logic, but certain parts you kind of cutting out. I don't know.
no.
Yeah.
I hope it's true.
I think the stream good. I think it just is a stream. So you're saying it's kind of too. This is a little too technical, is what you're saying.
It's difficult to make, like, if he's making it up, there's no way I could be like, oh, that's where he messed up at. Because he's leads. He could be telling me anything. I think right or wrong. I don't know if you need X, Y, Z to make all that. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right,
where it's
right, right.
hard for him to, like, rather than him explaining the process, we should just get a separate expert in here to say, nah, he messed up here, he messed up there. But for him to try to, like, walk you through, this is what's supposed to happen in order for this to come out, like, that's gonna be difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know what, Logic? Even if you were to get a second expert or another expert, if it's technical, if it's too technical, it's still going to be too technical. You get what I'm saying?
No, but
No matter who explains
an
it.
expert can just tell me, nah, that's right and no, that's wrong. Like, without with him explaining what's right or wrong about it, I'm not going to be able to relate to that. He could be telling me anything. I don't really know, and what's right or wrong about what he's saying. I mean, I'm not trying to, like, saying. I'm just saying this for me is a little follow because I feel as though they're putting me through their processes, and if there's they process, like, I never know because I don't know the process. Now I can say he just tells me his determination, like, you did this wrong. Like, we're supposed to, like, when we were talking about the quantitative test, like, if he would have just come out, can't have those results without that quantitative test, man, I can follow exactly where he's going with
Right.
that. Like, you shouldn't be able to have no quantitation.
Right. So yeah, that stuff is more direct and simple and to the point. This stuff really gets hyper technical. Yeah. All right, we can move on.
Right. Let me get back into it. We on Martz dismisses detection of 132 ion as noise, and after obscuring its presence using full spectrum scan. All right, I think we got like 4 more of these, so let's try to get through them right quick.
You first of all, people's 544A. What is that?
That's the Q204.
And that is the gate?
That's correct.
Okay, now that is the evidence, right?
Correct. That's the blood stain from the gate.
And is this an attempt by you to determine whether or not you can find the daughter 160 ion?
That's correct.
Do you identify this as the daughter 160 ion being present?
That is correct, yes.
Now, how do you account for the random peaks that you see, jagged peaks below the one larger peak?
Again, that's electrical noise.
Now, the fact that you see that electrical noise, and in addition to that one peak, what does that tell you about the strength of the signal for the 160 daughter ion?
Well, it's closer to the noise level, or it's becoming very close to the noise level in the instrument.
Does that mean it's a weaker signal?
That's correct.
I'm showing you 544B. Is this an attempt by you to see if you can find the full daughter spectrum, that is the 132 as well as the 160 in the rear gate stain?
Yes, that's correct.
And are you able to identify anything that would allow you, are you able to identify the full daughter spectrum in the rear gate blood stain?
No, I am not.
Can you explain why?
Well, there's several possibilities. One is it's not EDTA. Another would be that it's below my detectable limit.
But what do you see here in the graph?
Well, the graph is just strictly instrumental noise. There's no signal. that's recognizable above the noise level.
Do you have an identification of the 132 daughter?
No.
And if there was 132 daughter below your detectable limit, could it have come from an EDTA test tube?
Yes.
And what is your detectable limit?
It's difficult to tell, but it's somewhere around 10 parts per million.
And what was the amount of EDTA you found in the blood taken from the test tubes?
Well, calculated, it should be between 1 and 2,000 parts per million.
And based on the findings in the last two charts, they're A and B, 544A and B on the rear gate stain. Is there a full daughter spectrum?
No, there is not.
Would you identify the substance found in the blood on the rear gate as EDTA based on that finding?
No, I would not.
Would it be scientifically appropriate or correct, in your opinion, to do so?
No, it would not.
Players hang together, bro. Like this is basketball.
Yeah. So yeah, if the other stuff is too technical, I guess this would kind of fall into the same bag too, right? So the 132 ion is one of the ions that helps you to identify EDTA. He basically set the machine in such a way where it's scanned from a wide range. It didn't specifically look for the 132, right? So that when the chart prints out the peaks, the graph on a graph where, you ever seen those graphs where you see the little mountains and valleys and, right? And the mountains are supposed to represent like the presence of something or the amount of presence of something, right? So the way he sets the machine is, instead of looking for that specific ion, he looks across a wide range. So that's going to bring down the number of the amount of times that the eye of the machine sees the 132. So now when he gets the chart printout and it shows a low level, he can just dismiss it as noise. Is this a game that he's playing? But we skip 18, 19, and 20 logic. So I don't know how much time you got. We could go back to 18, 19, and 20 because those are important.
No, I did show those.
No. Go back. All right, go back to it. Go back to 18.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because you had something else I was supposed to click on, maybe.
No. Let's go to 18 and play the video from 18.
All right. Martz.
On the outside is the correct, but that we're looking for the one iron, right? Yeah. Compared to the full daughter spectrum above it, correct?
Yes.
Now that's the same sample, isn't it?
Yes.
In those two runs.
Yes.
What happened to the 160 ion in the full daughter spectrum? Is it no longer there?
It didn't show up.
Is it no longer there?
It didn't show up in the daughter spectrum.
Did you change the sample in some fashion that would remove the 160 ion?
No.
So can you assume that it's still there in the full daughter?
No. As you mentioned with the camera and Dr. Readers, if you're looking at one specific ion, it's easier to see. But if you're doing a full scan, you may not see all those ions. But for me to identify a chemical, they have to be present.
Are you saying that the 160 is not present in the full daughter spectrum of the same sample?
That's correct.
That it's not there because you can't see it on the chart?
That's correct.
So it's your testimony that if you can't see the ion, it can't be there.
I can't identify it if I can't see it.
Can it be there and you're just not seeing it?
Sure, you can always be below your detection limit.
And if you had really been looking for the 132 ion, you could have done the same kind of scan that you did for the 160, couldn't you have?
To look, yes, sure, yes.
Did you?
No.
You didn't want to find the 132 ion, did you?
No, it wasn't that I didn't want to find the 132 ion. I needed a full daughter spectrum. In finding the 132 ion, it would be just like finding the 160 ion by itself. it would be a screening test. In order to confirm, I need all the ions together in a certain ratio.
Yeah, Logic. So I think that was number 20 that you played, right?
It says 18.
You say 18 on it?
Yeah.
What's the
Martz plays a 3-card Monty with full daughter spectrum. That's not the one that you was trying to get me to play? Are you looking through them right now?
My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, you played the right one. Now, you heard when he said that you need the full daughter spectrum in order to identify that a compound or a chemical. You heard him say that, right? Because you heard Blazer ask him, okay, why didn't you just specifically look for the 132? And he said, well, if you just look for the 132 by itself, that's not enough to identify it. You got to look at it in the full spectrum. You heard him say that, right?
I did hear him say that.
All right. Now, the link that's below that, go ahead and click it and read to me what it says about if you need the full daughter spectrum in order to identify a compound.
It says, no, you do not need the full daughter spectrum. MS/MS or product ion scan to identify a compound using mass spectrometry. You can often identify compounds using a single precursor mass, a targeted fragment, or library match of a partial spectrum. Methods without a full daughter spectrum, single stage mass spec. You match the exact mass and isotope pattern of the intact molecule. Selected reaction monitoring. You track one specific precursor to fragment ion pair from known target compounds. Partial scan.
You can stop right there. You can stop right there. The bottom line is you don't need the full daughter spectrum. That's just some shit that this lying piece of garbage made up. He's just playing the 3-card Monty. We can move to 19.
All right.
And that one should say Dr. Readers dismisses made up nonsense of full daughter spectrum or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. I'm sorry. I thought I was playing it and I hadn't put it on the screen yet.
And wouldn't you agree, Doctor, that in mass spectrometry, you can only confirm a compound if you have the full daughter spectrum?
Absolutely not. It's nonsense. Whoever gave you that idea?
If people who were expert in the use of the tandem mass spectrometer said that that's what you had to do, would you disagree with them?
No, that's what they have to do. That's their opinion, but it isn't. As I said before, it's not etched in concrete. It's not from Olympus.
All right, so it's
a lot of identifications in forensic science in MSMS are done on the basis of the parent ion and a single daughter ion. It's done every day with people who have that instrumentation.
All right. So this is a lot more easy to understand, right? For the record, also, when I was arguing with Chef about their credentials, this guy versus Martz, right? And he's talking about Martz is a chemist. Martz is not a chemist. The only degree Martz had was a Bachelor of Science in General Science. This guy that you just heard speak has a PhD in pharmacology and toxicology. Okay? And he had 40 years of experience with EDTA. Martz can't fuck with this dude on no level. So let's clear that up. The most important thing here to take away from this video, from that video though, is that whole you need the full daughter spectrum. It's a lie. It's just 3-card Monty. We could move to the next one.
So you playing. So where did we leave off? Claims of being biased. No.
We going to 20. 20.
All right. I think we played this one already, though.
Run it again.
Martz, you see numerous spikes. Let me cover up the top part to illustrate this. In the bottom area, going all the way along the bottom axis.
Yes.
Is that noise?
Yes.
Now let's look at the 132 ion. It's not much higher than the noise, is it?
No, it's not.
So your standard of 3 times, you didn't apply it here.
Well, if you remember in my report, I said it was detected. I did not identify the EDTA in this sample, and that's why I said it was detected and not identified. I used that because I wasn't comfortable identifying it to the exclusion of all other chemicals, but I thought I had enough there to say it was detected.
You testified here that you think that's EDTA, correct?
I believe that it probably is.
And the reason that you will not say that the evidence is EDTA is because you couldn't identify the daughter spectrum, right?
Yes.
All right, let's compare this to the full spectrum that you did on the gate stain. Do you have that chart with you? The chart that corresponds to this chart that's on the screen.
I don't have the one that corresponds to that because there was no spectrum to print out.
Let's look at the one for the sock that corresponds to this chart for the dress.
I don't have that one also because there was no spectrum to print out.
So you didn't print out any results at all like you did for the dress?
No, there was nothing to print out.
So, and that data's been destroyed, hasn't it?
Yes.
So we cannot look at your chart that you did on the back gate and the sock to see whether the 132 iron is really there, can we?
Yes, you can look at the RICs that I provided.
With a chart like this is the full spectrum, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We don't have a chart like this for the gate or the sock, do we? Because you destroyed the data and you never printed out the report.
I looked at the chromatogram and it did not show EDTA present, and I didn't print it out. There was nothing to print out. It was all noise.
But you have nothing.
You see this shit, bro?
Yeah, that's crazy. And he flipping through it like he did print it out, though. That's crazy too.
Right, pretending like he got, because the lawyer know what he doing, right? So he set him up. Do you have this? He trying to pretend. He know he ain't got it in there. You know when you catch your children or something doing some shit and you say, where that homework at? And they flipping through shit and they know there ain't shit in there. But they gonna flip through and pretend and, oh, nah, I ain't print that out.
No, I ain't do
right?
it. Yeah, that was crazy.
Now, keep in mind, when he says that you need the full daughter spectrum, when he says that he found EDTA on Nicole's dress, remember, Chef made this argument, right? That it came from the detergent, right? He says that there was EDTA on that dress, right? Now, that particular chart that the lawyer was referring to of Nicole's dress did not have the full daughter spectrum that he's talking about. But yet and still, he said that was EDTA based on the presence of the ion. So he's double speaking, and he don't have his charts. He deleting shit. Dude is a liar. So I think we only got like 3 more, Logic. I think we got. Let me see what we got next. Yeah, we got 23. Let's go to 23. We almost done.
The only other time you testified for the defense is in a case where police officers were charged with murdering a civilian?
That's the only time. That's the time I remember. That's the only one I remember.
And during the course of your 17 years experience with the FBI, you've never testified for the defense other than that and other than yesterday and today.
I don't remember any other time.
When I met with you in Washington about 2 weeks ago, did you have a conversation with the prosecutors after that meeting?
I'm sure I did.
Did you discuss the content of the meeting that we had?
I'm sure that I talked to them somewhat about it. I don't remember the specifics of what I told them. I can't even remember the specifics of what we talked about, all the specifics. I did talk to them after our meeting.
And did you talk to them about some of the issues that you thought I was going to raise and how you might confront them?
I may have mentioned something, but I was confused. As I told you when you came to Washington, I didn't know why you were calling me to testify.
Now, can you tell me one time in your 17 years where after you talked to the prosecutors about a case that you worked on that you called the defense to talk to them and explain the issues to them?
Could you repeat that question?
Can you tell me one time in your 17 years experience when you've met with the prosecutors about a case that you followed that up by conferring with the defense to tell them what you discussed?
I've had occasions where I've talked to the defense after I've talked to the prosecution.
Do you make that a practice of letting the defense know when you've conferred with the prosecution about test results?
No.
Do you make it a practice to let defense attorneys know what issues they might want to raise with you or with other experts?
No.
Is there still your testimony that you have no prosecutorial bias here?
I have no bias whatsoever. Every question that you asked and they asked, I answered.
Yeah, this dude is unbelievable, man. He could sit there with a straight face and say he ain't got no bias, but you going to the ops and giving them intel and all this shit, but you not on their side. Clown. Let's move to 24.
Taking blood from an EDTA tube, putting it on a swatch, and then letting it dry for an hour and testing it whether you could detect EDTA, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't do any validation study whatsoever to determine what samples preserved under the way these samples were preserved, collected, environmental factors. You did no validation study whatsoever to determine what, if any, loss you might have in EDTA, did you?
In this particular case, I didn't believe it was necessary. What I had was the best scenario. I had
objection, Your Honor. Move to strike. You didn't. I'm sorry.
He's answered the question. Next question.
Now, when I met with you in Washington, I had requested your digital data, hadn't I?
Yes.
It had long since been destroyed, hadn't it?
Yes, it had.
Hey, Logic, you noticed all that twitching and shit this nigga be doing with his eye?
No, I wasn't checking out the corner of his eye. I wasn't looking that hard.
Yeah, but even besides that, don't you pick up on the sliminess and weaselness of this dude?
I'm definitely picking up on he's trying to answer questions kind of vaguely, right? I'm not getting like the clear, I know my answer is supported. I'm definitely not getting that. I'm not getting confident answers from him. I'm definitely not. Definitely not. I'm not getting the kind of body language or the kind of answers that would suggest that he's on the up and up. If that's what you're going with.
Exactly. He's a slime ball. Let's move to 25.
Let's see. Discord, Martz.
Might be in everyone's blood on any given day.
In my opinion, there would be EDTA in everyone's blood.
Now, when I say trace amount, sir, it's a substance.
Hey, pause it.
Rear gate and the socket.
All right, you heard that, right? So nobody could say that I made that up. You heard Martz say that in his opinion, EDTA should be found in everybody's blood. You heard that, right, Logic? think you're on mute.
No, I called that.
All right, so just let the record reflect. But yeah, go ahead.
Is EDTA? Did you form the opinion that some trace amount of EDTA might be in everyone's blood on any given day?
In my opinion, there would be EDTA in everyone's blood.
Now, when I say trace amount, sir, if the substance detected on the rear gate and the sock is EDTA, which I understand you have not concluded, but if that is the case, would you quantify those as trace amounts,
They would be in the parts per million.
which qualifies for trace amount categorization?
Well, it depends on your definition, but a part per million to most people would be a trace.
And would that amount be consistent with what might be a normal level in someone?
Well, I don't think anybody knows, to be perfectly honest with you. It could be, but I don't have any factual information to say that it is or isn't. Only that in my blood, I saw the same indications. But you got to remember, I don't know that that is EDTA. I've not proved that.
In that regard, sir, did you find in looking at the results of your testing on the sock, the gate, and yourself, did you find certain consistencies in the readings and what the graphs demonstrated to you?
Yes, I did.
And what were those?
Is the one graph demonstrated, or some of them did, in my blood, the gate, and the sock, there's low levels of an ion that I look for with EDTA, very low levels compared to the EDTA preserved blood. I don't have the explanation as to what they're from. I believe they could be from other chemicals, it could be EDTA, or it could be some artifact in the instrument due to some type of matrix effect with the blood.
You form the opinion that some trace amount of EDTA might be in everyone's blood.
Yeah, go ahead, pause it. Logic. So if you notice, right, he's not saying that it's not EDTA. He's not saying that it is EDTA. It could be, but it could be this. It could be that. It could be this. It could be, right? So everything is just ambiguous and up in the air, right? And even if it is EDTA, it's still only in the 1 part per million, and everybody has trace amounts of EDTA in their blood, which we now know by modern science that is a lie. Okay? So this guy, all he's doing is just flooding the zone with information and looking to cause confusion. He's not answering anything straight up. He's making everything ambiguous and murky and not clear, and he's just playing games. Do me a favor, Logic.
He did actually just say that basically everybody should be walking around with enough EDTA to kill you. That's basically what he just said.
That's what he said. He said at least in the 1 part per million, which is what he calls a trace amount. Yeah, everybody runs around with that normally. Just completely lying, making shit up. And he's saying that based on testing his own blood, supposedly, right? But when they ask him for his data, oh yeah, I don't have that. I don't have the charts. I don't have the digital data. I don't have nothing. Full of shit. But go to number 16, Logic. We had skipped that one too. But number 16, he completely embarrasses himself. Watch this one right here. And Chef, you especially, watch this one. Go to number 16, Logic. Yeah, I don't hear no audio, Logic. You heard me, Logic? No audio. Yo.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Logic.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay.
I don't know why it's not doing that. Let me just restart it. I don't know what's happening.
Damn. Put another video and then go back to this one. Cause this right here, he gets cooked right here. We gotta play this one.
Can you hear this?
Nah, still not hearing nothing. No, I'm saying click on a different video, click on a whole different video, and then go back to this one. You there, Logic?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. All right, I think I got it. Hold up.
The radius or the diameter of that, did you not?
That's correct.
And
It should be
draw,
playing now.
not to scale, obviously, a circle
Can you hear that? Yeah.
that represents
Yeah, I can hear it now.
that you. And could you draw, not to scale, obviously, a circle that represents the 10 microliters of blood that you did to determine your minimum detectable amount?
Right.
And that's 10 microliters of blood. You want to write 10 microliters of blood?
I think it was probably 5 is what I used.
Well, you want to look at your notes?
Well, I think for cutting this out, I did 5 microliters.
Well, I want you to be accurate. Look at your notes. All right, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
5 microliters. And you found that 5 microliters of blood gave you a spot that was how big?
Well, I had pictures of it. I can't remember.
You want to look at your notes?
Is it in there?
What was the diameter?
About 5 millimeters.
Okay. You want to draw a line that represents the diameter and write 5 millimeters. Okay, now below that, I want you to draw a little square that represents a swatch. Way below it. There you go. Thank you. And well, we wanted a square one. You determined that you needed a square 1 millimeter on each side, right?
Okay.
Now, and you had previously determined by other tests that you needed not only a swatch 1 millimeter on a side, but 0.5 microliters of blood is the minimum detectable blood, correct?
Based on negative ion. On positive ion, it would be 1/10 of that.
Now put a 0.5 microliters down by the swatch. So is it accurate that you calculated that you needed a swatch 1/2 the size, I'm sorry, 1/10 of the size of your 5 microliter circle to get a big enough swatch to have a minimum detectable amount of EDTA?
Based on negative ion.
Okay, but that's the ratio we're talking about, correct?
No, we were talking about positive ion. There
No, no.
would be 1/10.
Now, in terms of 5 microliters, 0.5, there's a 10-fold difference.
Right.
So the area of your circle should be 10 times bigger than your swatch, right?
Right.
Can you calculate the area of a circle with a 5 millimeter diameter?
I mean, I could. I don't. Maths. I don't know right now what it is.
Well, what's
Another
the formula for the area of a circle?
pi r squared.
What's pi?
Well, you're really testing me. 2.12, 2.17. I don't know.
How about 3.1214?
Is that what?
Isn't pi kind of essential to being a scientist, knowing what it is?
I haven't used pi since I was in, I guess, high school. I don't know.
Let's try 3.14.
Is that what it is?
What it is?
Is that what it is?
Let's try 3.14. And what's the radius?
So it'd be half the diameter.
Okay, 2.5.
Pause it real quick, Logic.
Maybe borrow.
So this goofball, is that what it is? Right? This goofy don't know what pi is. Now, you could say, okay, he works in chemistry or whatever the case may. Nigga, anybody posting no pi, that's basic shit. And especially if you trying to eyeball some shit and you taking from a circle and saying, oh, I'm just gonna divide 5 milliliters by 10, and then that should represent 1/10 of the circle. No, stupid. You have to take the area of the circle and then take 1/10 of that, dummy. Is that what pi is? Yes, dummy. Pi is 22/7 or 3.14. So, Chef, if you out there listening, this dude who you think is so much of an expert and so brilliant is a dumbass. He has a BS in science. Not everybody who has a degree, don't think somebody got a degree or they got a job in something that they smart, bruh. It don't work like that, bro. This dude is embarrassing himself. Is that what it is? Yes, dummy. It's 3.14. Some shit you learn in high school. But go ahead, Logic.
Or a calculator. Can you use a calculator?
Yes. I think.
Tell me what pi times 2.5 squared is.
Hey, Logic, pause it again. Hey, did you catch the sneak this though? Buddy asked him, can you use a calculator?
He already looking nervous. Why is he asking to multiply and he's still looking at the board? Would you got to look at the board to find 3.14 again? He tripping. Come on, I gotta get through this.
Go ahead, play it. It's only this and one last video left, Logic.
I'll write down 19. Square millimeters, right? The area. What's 1/10 of that?
1.9.
You miscalculated by a factor of 2 the minimum size of a swatch you needed to detect EDTA, didn't you?
I don't know that I did or not. I calculated a little differently. I didn't use this.
Well, does the area change by the different methods of calculation?
Well, this is all estimations based on my eyeball. I didn't use any scientific math to determine it. What I did was I took the circle.
Hey, pause that. We ain't even gotta go no more. Pause that. You heard what this dumbass said? So the amount that he believed was the minimum amount necessary to detect EDTA, he was off by a factor of 2 times, right? So his eyeball, and this goofy nigga Chef is in the chat saying, well, Corey eyeballs stuff all the time and I can eyeball. You see what this dumbass nigga eyeball did? It don't work like that in science. And did you hear him say, well, I didn't do any scientific things to do anything. I just eyeballed everything. You heard him say that, right, Logic?
I did hear him say he didn't even use nothing scientific to come up with it. I heard him say that.
Goofy. A pure goofy. Let's go to the last video, Logic, number 27, and we out of here.
Trial, Johnny Cochran's So-called critical witness for the defense has been identified, and ABC News' Brian Ross is here with us, has the details. Brian?
Good morning, Charlie. If defense lawyers have their way, the Simpson case could now turn into an examination of whether the highly respected FBI laboratory tampers with evidence. Simpson lawyers want to call this FBI agent, Fred Whitehurst, who works in the FBI lab in Washington, to testify about his allegations to be aired tonight in a primetime live investigation of perjury, fraud, even fabricated evidence at the FBI lab.
It has a potentially tremendous effect on our trial because this, on the heels of the Furman tapes, says to this jury that you can't trust the prosecution's evidence.
Of particular interest in the Simpson case is the testimony this summer of FBI agent Roger Martz, the acting scientific analysis section chief at the lab. According to secret memos written by Whitehurst, which we obtained and showed to the Simpson defense team, Martz is one of the FBI agents alleged by Whitehurst to have testified, not in the Simpson case, but in others, about tests that were never done and slanting lab reports to benefit prosecutors.
It's absolutely extraordinary. It parallels all the kinds of problems that we had with Agent Martz's testimony in this case.
These memos, as detailed as they are, say nothing about the Simpson case. Why does this really pertain to your trial?
Where you have an agent who has a propensity, a proclivity to testify falsely, to perjure him or herself, to fabricate evidence. They don't just do that in one high-profile case, whether it's Waco or the New York Trade Center. That becomes a pattern because they can get away with it.
Agent Martz declined to talk with ABC News. The allegations being made by FBI agent Whitehurst come from some of the biggest cases the FBI has handled in recent years, with implications far beyond the Simpson case, involving the fundamental integrity of the FBI itself. The FBI this morning had no comment on our report.
All right, thanks, Brian, very much. But again, no direct indications that there was fabrication of evidence in the Simpson trial.
No, but in the case of the
Shut your stupid ass up, man. We could pause that, man.
She has been accused.
Not a little slimy ass cracker, dog. Well, okay, so even if he did falsify and lie on some shit on other cases, that don't mean that he did it in this case, right? That same stupid ass argument with the Furman shit, right? So here it is. We have an FBI whistleblower who said the same dude, Roger Martz, in other cases, falsified evidence, said he had tests when he didn't have no tests, slanted tests to go towards a prosecution favor. He did it in other cases, but we supposed to believe that he didn't do it in this case. Now, we done sat here 2 hours, heard this nigga say he ain't do nothing scientific, heard him say he used less blood to do certain tests on shit. You heard him say that he eyeball quantity. You heard him say that he used the least sensitive test to try to find the EDTA. You heard him say that he used a certain test that the parameters that he set couldn't distinguish EDTA. So you heard him do exactly what the FBI whistleblower is talking about. This is what this slime ball does. And I think that was clearly demonstrated today. He's a liar, and EDTA was absolutely found in the socks and the back gate.
By his fellow agent Whitehurst of using to fabricate evidence in the World Trade Center bombing case.
All right, thank you very much, Brian Ross.
All right, also coming up, Spencer's weather, and we will.
Okay, I'm getting the point. So it sounds like at times Martz definitely sounds like he don't know what the hell he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Even when the other guy, what's his name, Readers, when he come in, he kind of act like Martz don't know what the hell he's talking about. So I got you. I got something out of that.
Yeah, but even more than that, I'm saying that this nigga's a slime ball and a liar, because the FBI whistleblower said that in other cases, he perjured, falsified evidence, claimed that he did tests when he didn't do the tests, and he would slant tests to get the results that the prosecution wants. So yes, he is incompetent because this stupid motherfucker didn't know what pi was. He didn't know how to calculate the area of a circle. He thought that you could just cut from a circle, right? Or you could divide it by 10 and you would get the amount that you would need to do on a swatch, when he didn't realize, no, you need to calculate the area of the circle, then divide that by 10, dummy, right? So he's incompetent and he's a liar, right? So you heard him in the first, like on the third video, when he said, I found ions consistent with EDTA. You heard him when he said that. Then later on in his testimony, he starts making up bullshit about, I detected it, but I didn't identify it, and all kind of bullshit. And the point being driven home is, this dude is a liar, a pathological liar. And that's it, man. I think we could.
He did say the man be making up stuff in high profile cases. So Johnny Cochran said it. It started with Johnny Cochran. Haskell might be reiterating it, but Johnny Cochran said it.
No, Logic. The FBI whistleblower Frederick Whitehurst said it, not Johnny Cochran. Cochran is getting it from him.
Okay, that's where Cochran getting it from. So we done all heard it through the grapevine. Eve Cochran thought it was at least noteworthy to repeat what old boy said. I got you. All right. So I think we're gonna probably reopen our little voice chat. Do what we do. We're gonna discuss all the facts that Haskell laid out on the table. I'm gonna go ahead and put our information in there. Let me see if I can drop the link to the Discord and put that in the chat. If anybody want to come in and holler at your boy. Let's see how to get to this mug. All right, I'm dropping it in there right now. And I'm going to do us a little outro, man. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Haskell, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to put this together so everybody can get a clear understanding of what you're saying. And I think you did good, bro. I'll see you on the other side.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.